Okay, welcome to today's class on some common mistakes. I want to remind you, if you like these classes, come and buy a course from skypelessons.com and you get a free speaking class. In fact, I'm going to do one after this lesson. So number one, and I'm sure this has come up before, I'm sure it has, but I like to repeat the mistakes that get repeated so that they don't get repeated. So number one, we are close to develop nuclear fusion. Now, this 2 plus infinitive is not a 2 plus infinitive. And you might think that always 2 and then a verb is always 2 plus infinitive, but you would be wrong if that's what you think. When you have this 2 functioning as a preposition, and what I mean is it's followed by a noun very often, well, in that case, you need to use a gerund. They are close to developing nuclear fusion, and then that's correct. You need the close to developing, and it's the same for any other phrase where the 2 is used as a preposition. And the way you know this is, can you substitute it for an ordinary noun? Yeah, and you know, he lives close to the church. Yeah, I am close to madness, something like that. You have close to and then noun, and that's why it's a gerund. And that's why get used to is plus gerund. Yeah, I couldn't get used to the weather. Yeah, so get used to is clearly followed by a noun, and that's why you say I couldn't get used to driving on the left. Same with look forward to. I look forward to your birthday. I look forward to hearing from you soon. Yeah, hearing, because to your birthday, 2 plus noun. The same with resort to. Yeah, he would resort to insults, yeah, when he got angry. So resort to plus noun, so resort to is gerund. Yeah, and the same with object to. So I hope that's clear. Yeah, this is when you need 2 plus ing, when you can substitute that word for a noun. And when you think about it, in any 2 plus infinitive phrase, you cannot substitute the verb, the infinitive, for a noun. You really can't. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, China is far away from the Americans. Now, you might think this is almost correct, but it wasn't what the student wanted to say. The student was explaining that China is far ahead of the Americans. Yeah, far ahead. I think he was talking about nuclear fusion. Yeah, far ahead of the Americans, far ahead of the Americans. Yeah, far, meaning that they're much further developed in their, perhaps in their nuclear fusion research. Yeah, and I wouldn't say China and Americans, just because you ought to compare like with like. So it's better to say the Chinese if you're going to say the Americans. Yeah, the Chinese are, I would say the Chinese are, not the Chinese is, the Chinese are far ahead of the Americans in their nuclear fusion research. Yeah, that's what the student wanted to say. Not far away, but far ahead of, meaning in front of. Yeah, more progressed. You know, closer to developing nuclear fusion. Okay, number 3 is a very common mistake, and that's why it's worth bringing up. But it's an easy one. Accept is a verb. And so if you want to make that verb negative, you have to use don't in present simple. If you don't accept, the time when you use not is, you know, are not, and then adjective. If you aren't happy, if you are not happy, if you are not sad, if you are not completely satisfied. Yeah, and so are not when it's adjective, okay, when it's adjective. But if it's verb, it will always be don't.